For millions of seniors, the day doesn't officially begin until that first warm, comforting cup of coffee. It's a ritual. It's a small, daily pleasure. It's the moment of peace before the world wakes up, and it feels good. It's the energy you need to get going. But what if this ritual is a trap? What if this energy is a lie? What if that jolt you feel, that wired, jittery, anxious feeling that comes with the focus, what if that feeling is the physical sensation of your blood vessels constricting and your blood pressure spiking? That is the shocking truth that doctors are finally realizing. The very ritual you're using to wake up is simultaneously fueling the #1 silent killer, hypertension. Now, what is the obvious advice? Oh, that's the caffeine. You need to stop drinking coffee. Switch to decaf. But this is the great, tragic misunderstanding. This is the inversion. What if the caffeine is not the real problem? What if the energy from caffeine is good, but it's incomplete? What if the real problem is that your coffee is imbalanced? And what if you don't need to remove the good part, the focus, you just need to add the missing piece? What if you could add a simple, tasteless powder to your same cup of coffee? A powder that doesn't fight the caffeine, but works with it. A powder that chemically sands off the rough edges. A powder that neutralizes the anxiety and shuts down the jitters, but keeps and even enhances the focus. What if, by adding this, you could turn your high-pressure, anxiety-fueling cup of coffee into the ultimate calm focus, blood pressure-lowering elixir? That is the shocking transformation we're here to talk about. This is the secret that turns your problem into your solution. So, to understand the solution, the powder, we must first understand the real problem. And the real problem is not the coffee, it's your nervous system. This is the great inversion. Think of your body as a car. It has two operating systems. System 1 is the gas pedal, your sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight-or-flight mode. It revs your engine, it dumps adrenaline. System 2 is the brake pedal, your parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest mode. It slows your engine, it releases calming hormones. Now, what is caffeine? In isolation, caffeine is 100% pure, foot-to-the-floor gas pedal. That is the jolt. It shouts at your adrenal glands to dump adrenaline and cortisol. These are stress hormones, and their job is to constrict your blood vessels and raise your blood pressure to fight a lion. That is why your pressure spikes. That is why you feel anxious and jittery. Your body thinks it is in danger. So stopping coffee works by never hitting the gas, but it also leaves you tired. But what if instead of never hitting the gas, you added a powder that simultaneously hits the brake? What if you could press the gas and the brake at the same time to create a controlled, powerful, focused energy, not a panicked, out-of-control, anxious energy? That is the secret. That is this. And in our next block, I'm going to reveal what this powder is and the first immediate, shocking change that happens in your brain chemistry in less than 30 minutes. So, we've established the clear and present danger. Your morning coffee is not energy. It is a one-sided, unbalanced gas pedal signal, sympathetic, that forces your adrenal glands to dump adrenaline and cortisol, chemically spiking your anxiety and your blood pressure. And we've established that the secret is not to stop hitting the gas pedal, but to simultaneously hit the brake pedal, to balance the equation. So, what is this? What is this magical brake pedal powder? This is L-Theanine. Now, what is that? It is a simple, natural amino acid, and this is the ancient wisdom. Where is it found? It is found abundantly in green tea. Have you ever wondered, why do Zen monks, why does Japanese culture drink matcha in green tea, which is loaded with caffeine, to meditate? Why is their caffeine buzz one of calm, focused, transcendent clarity, while our caffeine buzz from pure coffee is one of anxious, jittery, panicked chaos? That is the secret. Green tea naturally contains both the gas pedal, caffeine, and the brake pedal, L-Theanine. Nature created them together. We, in our Western go-faster culture, isolated only the gas pedal, caffeine, and threw away the brake pedal. That is the imbalance. That is the mistake. So,
what is the first shocking transformation that happens when you reunite them? When you add this tasteless L-Theanine powder back into your coffee, the first change is neurological rebalancing. Your entire brain chemistry changes in minutes. This is the shocking science. Why does caffeine by itself make you anxious? Because in your brain, caffeine promotes the gas pedal neurotransmitter, glutamate. Glutamate is an excitotoxin. It excites your brain cells. It is the feeling of anxiety, jitters, and racing thoughts. It is the panic signal. Now, what does L-theanine do? This is the genius of biology. L-theanine has a molecular shape that is very similar to glutamate. So, it rushes into your brain and it plugs into the glutamate receptors. It fits in the ignition, but it does not turn the key. It is a dummy key. It blocks the receptor. So, when the real anxiety key, glutamate, agitated by the caffeine, arrives, it has nowhere to plug in. It is locked out. You have chemically blocked anxiety at the source. But that is not all. L-theanine also simultaneously boosts your brain's master brake pedal neurotransmitter, GABA. GABA is the neurotransmitter of calm, peace, and relaxation. It is the everything is okay signal. So, look at this perfect, elegant 1-2 punch. In one simple scoop, the L-theanine blocks the gas pedal, glutamate, and boosts the brake pedal, GABA. This is the famous calm focus. And it gets even more shocking. This change is so profound, you can see it on a brain scan. Caffeine alone promotes fast beta brainwaves, the state of stress, anxiety, and panic. But the instant you added L-theanine, it shifts your brain down into the slow, smooth alpha brainwaves. Alpha waves are the state of flow, the state of meditation, the state of effortless, calm creativity. That is the shocking transformation. You are not stopping your coffee, you are upgrading it. You are turning your panic drink into a meditation drink just by adding back the missing piece. That is the first profound change. You have fixed the brain signal, and this calm alpha wave state is the neurological antidote to high blood pressure. But I know what you're thinking. This is great, but this just calms my brain. What about my arteries? What about the physical damage from decades of high stress? That is a physical problem. And on that note, there's some fascinating research on how nature's ingredients from heart-healthy villages can support the physical health of your actual blood vessels. I've placed a link to this unique approach in the first pinned comment for anyone also concerned about the physical side of their numbers. So, we've just fixed the brain chemistry, but how does that stop the physical flood of the stress hormone, cortisol, the real chemical that stiffens your arteries? In our next block, I'm going to reveal this second hidden connection, the one that stops the adrenal panic.
We have just uncovered the first profound and immediate transformation. Your blood pressure is not a disease, it is a neurological stuck gas pedal. And this powder, L-theanine, is the missing brake pedal. It rebalances your brain chemistry, blocking the anxiety molecule glutamate and boosting the calm molecule GABA, instantly shifting your brain from panic, which is beta waves, to calm focus, which is alpha waves. This is the neurological fix, but I promised it was just the beginning because we've only talked about your brain chemistry. We haven't talked about the toxic flood that this brain chemistry controls, the river of stress hormones. This brings us to the second shocking health change, the chemical rebalancing, the stopping of the adrenal panic. Now, why is this change so shocking? It's shocking because of the greatest, most dangerous misunderstanding in all of modern health. Cortisol. When you think of stress, you think of cortisol, and you think it's just a feeling. You think it's just anxiety. This is the great inversion. Cortisol is not a feeling, it is a physical, catabolic breakdown hormone. And when your gas pedal is stuck from the pure caffeine and life worries, your adrenal glands never stop dumping this acidic, corrosive hormone into your bloodstream. And this is the true silent killer.
Not the pressure, but the hormone causing the pressure. This is what pills do not fix. Let's look at the biology of chronic cortisol. This is the shock. First, cortisol is the amplifier for the gas pedal. It makes your blood vessels extra sensitive to the constricting effects of adrenaline. So, cortisol is the chemical that keeps your arteries pinched and stiff. But second, and this is the even more sinister link, what is cortisol's main job in a panic? It is to raise blood sugar, to give you fuel to fight the lion. So it forces your liver to dump massive amounts of sugar, which is neoglucogenesis, into your blood, even if you haven't eaten. So, your blood sugar is always high. This forces your pancreas to dump massive amounts of insulin to fight this sugar. Yes, your stress is causing your insulin resistance. And what is insulin's other job? As we've learned in other videos, it tells your kidneys to hold on to sodium. Now, look at this vicious, insane, healthy coffee cup cycle. Step 1, you drink your unbalanced coffee. Step 2, the caffeine spikes your gas pedal. Step 3, this triggers a flood of cortisol, the anxiety. Step 4, that cortisol does two things simultaneously to raise your blood pressure. It directly constricts your arteries and it spikes your sugar insulin, which forces your kidneys to retain sodium. Your coffee anxiety is literally forcing your body to hold on to salt. That is the shocking link. That is the source of the problem. That is why you are sick. So, what happens when you do the 3-minute ritual? This is the shocking part. You are not just calming down. You are not just feeling better. You are waging a chemical war and winning. When you add the L-Theanine, when you create that calm alpha wave state in your brain, that calm state is a direct, physical, non-negotiable safety signal up to your brain, to your hypothalamus, the master gland. That signal shouts, "The lion is gone! The threat is over! You can stand down!" And your hypothalamus obeys. It instantly stops sending the panic signal down to your adrenal glands. And your adrenal glands, for the first time all day, stop the cortisol flood. That is the chemical change. In one simple scoop, you turn off the spigot. You stop the forced sugar dump. You stop the insulin spike. You stop the sodium retention. And you stop the chemical amplification of your high blood pressure. This is the real detox. This is the real anti-aging. You are stopping your own body from poisoning itself. That is the ignored truth. Pills muffle the engine. This hack stops the jet fuel from ever entering the engine. That is the shock. So, we fix the neurological stuck pedal and we fix the chemical flood. This is already a new life. But what about the physical damage? What about the pipes themselves? What about the physical stiffness in the artery walls caused by decades of this high pressure, high cortisol assault? What about the master relaxer gas, nitric oxide? That is the third and final piece of the puzzle. And in our final block, I'm going to reveal how this same L-Theanine also physically heals your blood vessels from the inside out.
We have now established two revolutionary, life-altering changes that happen when you add this, L-Theanine, to your morning coffee. First, you fixed the neurological problem. You rebalanced your brain chemistry, blocking anxiety, glutamate, and boosting calm, GABA. Shifting your brain from beta, panic, to alpha, calm focus. Second, you fixed the chemical problem. You stopped the corrosive flood of cortisol, ending the hormonal chaos that forces your body into a high-pressure, muscle-wasting, fat-storing, sodium-retaining state. This alone is a new life, but I promised you a third change, the final piece of the puzzle. What about the physical damage? What about the pipes themselves? What about the physical stiffness in the artery walls caused by decades of this high-pressure, high-cortisol assault? This brings us to the third shocking health change, the physical rejuvenation of the arteries themselves. How can an amino acid from tea physically heal a stiff pipe?
This is the most shocking science of all, and it's why doctors are amazed. This is the great inversion. We have been taught that stiff arteries, arteriosclerosis, are caused by plaque, cholesterol. But what if that's wrong? What if the plaque is not the cause? What if it's the Band-Aid? What if the real problem is the damage underneath the Band-Aid, the inflammation and dysfunction of the artery wall itself, caused by that high pressure, high cortisol, high sugar environment we've been living in? So, what is the master healing signal for the artery wall? What is the one gas that cools inflammation, makes the wall Teflon-like so plaque can't stick, and repairs the damage? It is nitric oxide, NO. Yes, the master relaxer gas is also the master healer gas. But as we get older, our body's ability to produce nitric oxide plummets. Our primary NO pathway, enos, gets old, rusty, and inefficient. So, your arteries are not just stiff because they can't relax. They are stiff because they cannot heal. They are stuck in a state of chronic damage. That is the physical problem. So, what do pills, like statins or blood pressure meds, do about this? Nothing. They do not boost nitric oxide, they do not heal the wall, they just lower the pressure or the cholesterol. They are ignoring the wound. Now, what does L-Theanine do? This is the shocking, elegant final piece. Scientists are now discovering that L-Theanine directly boosts your body's production of nitric oxide. How? It appears to upregulate and reactivate that old, rusty, broken enos pathway. It helps your body make its own healing gas again. This is the holy grail, because look at the synergy. First, the L-Theanine calms your brain, alpha waves, which stops the cortisol flood, which lowers the pressure and stops the damage. And then, second, the same L-Theanine also boosts the nitric oxide, which actively heals the damage that was already done. It is a complete systemic, neurological, chemical, and physical reset. That is the shocking transformation. You are not just managing your symptoms, you are fixing the source at every single level. That is the ignored truth. So, let's bring it all back. Let's look at the total transformation. This is the circularity. This is the answer to the question we asked at the very beginning. That healthy cup of coffee was the problem. Not because of the caffeine, but because it was unbalanced. It was pure gas pedal. It was a neurological, chemical, and physical assault that caused the anxiety, the cortisol flood, the sodium retention, and the arterial stiffness. That is why your pressure was high. But when you make the switch, when you add this, L-Theanine, you rebalance the equation. You turn your problem into the solution. You create a synergistic elixir that 1. Fixes your brain chemistry, shifting you from beta, panic, to alpha, calm focus. 2. Fixes your hormonal chemistry, stopping the cortisol flood and its downstream chaos. And 3. Fixes your physical arteries. By boosting the healing gas, nitric oxide, you are not just lowering your pressure, you are upgrading your entire operating system. That is the simple, ignored truth. Pills are force, this hack is intelligence. Pills are management, this hack is healing. That is the secret. And if this message, if this new perspective on balancing your energy has empowered you today, then please hit that subscribe button. Our entire mission is to uncover these simple, ignored truths that give you back control. Because now that you know the simple powder, L-Theanine, to add to your coffee to balance your nervous system, you also need to know the simple ritual you can do anytime, anywhere, without any powder to instantly reboot that same nervous system. The video, How to Improve Your Blood Pressure in 3 Minutes a Day, explains exactly how to do this using only your breath. Click on the video on your screen right now to learn the 3-minute breathing technique that will train your nervous system and change your life.